You don't need to be the smartest person in the room to be a data analyst, but you do need to avoid a few mistakes that I see many aspiring analysts make time and time again, especially for people who are trying to break in. And trust me, I've made most of these mistakes myself. So today I'm breaking down the 3 biggest mistakes aspiring analysts make and how to avoid them so you can actually get hired faster. Let's jump right in. So if you're new, my name is Zazo. I've been in data analytics for 4 years at this point, and I am currently a senior data analyst. And previously, I worked in software engineering. So the first mistake that I see aspiring data analysts make is they feel like they need to learn every tool before they start applying or before they are ready. I've been there before as well. So you probably went on to Google like I did, and you're searching what skills are necessary for becoming a data analyst. And the list is endless. You're going to see SQL, Python, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, machine learning, all of these different things. And when I saw this, I was like, there's no way that I'm ready to apply and become a data analyst. I definitely need to learn all of these different skills before I can even apply. But here's the truth that many beginners don't realize. Companies don't actually care if you know 20 tools or if you know every single tool on that posting. Matter of fact, I had no data visualization experience when I got hired as a data analyst. But the one thing that they cared about, my hiring manager and a lot of hiring managers, is can you solve a problem with one of these tools? And when I look back at my data analytics career, is 80% of what I was learning or what I needed to know was SQL for my specific role in my specific company. It wasn't fancy machine learning. It wasn't advanced Python and doing all these different things with all these packages. It was just clean problem solving. The people that get stuck are the people that bounce from tutorial and never actually go deeper within the craft. And this goes for data analytics, and this also goes for software engineering. You learn a lot of high level stuff because normally that's what tutorials teach you, but you never go deeper. No diddy. So this is the funny thing is after I saw all of those different skills, I immediately went to Python. And the reason why is because I already had a coding background coming from software engineering. I spent most of my time learning Python throughout when I was looking for a data analyst role. And then when I got to the interview, they didn't ask me one Python question. What they did ask me is SQL. If I had these 2 tables, how would I pull, they gave me a scenario. How would I pull, let's say, for example, sales by date, given these 2 tables or something of that nature? And then I was also asked, can you explain the difference between an inner, outer, left and right join? It had nothing to do what I had dedicated months into learning, which was Python. So let me ask you this. Are you learning to impress a job description or to actually solve problems? Now, the second mistake is you're creating projects that maybe look good visually, but that don't solve an actual problem. And it doesn't prove that you can think like a data analyst. So I've actually seen a lot of portfolios in different states of their analytics journey, from aspiring analysts to junior analysts to people that may have tried to take boot camps and things like this. And most of them have the same issue. They're just dashboards without insights. They're just random sales data or some type of thing that is in a pretty little chart, but it really serves no actual business purpose. And a dashboard, to be quite frank, is just a decoration if you can't actually explain the insights behind it. So I've been in a couple interviews, and what I realize is sometimes when these analysts are asked, what is the story behind this dashboard? They kind of freeze, and you can tell that they kind of try to make something up. And that's because they didn't really solve anything. Chances are they're tutorials or something that was, assigned to them in school, but they didn't really understand the reason why they were solving what they were. And this is a huge thing when you're actually working in the field compared to something like school. So for example, in order to make an effective dashboard, it needs to tell a story. So for example, let's say you build a sales dashboard. Most people are going to stop at revenue, orders, and customer count. But a great analyst adds one simple question. So what should the business do because of this, or because of what is being seen on this visualization? Even one recommendation makes your project instantly stronger than 90% of beginner portfolios, because most people won't even go that far. They'll just explain the charts and what they see on the actual visualization. They'll say things like sales were up 10% year over year, orders have been increasing, decreasing, but at the end of the day, it's a chart and I can see it. I know what this means. However, I don't necessarily know what I'm supposed to do with it. And that's where it's your job to explain or recommend what the business should do based off of these numbers. So now let's talk about the last mistake, which probably is one of the biggest ones that I kind of already hit on, but we're going to go a little bit more in detail. So the third mistake, and I know my tech junkies out there are going to hate this one, is only practicing your technical skills. Reason why I say that is because I was one of those junkies, only focused on the technical skills. But now I'm like a D2 yapper and I can yap, and that's a skill in itself, right? So now I'm not just saying just yap for yap's sake, but a lot of people in tech completely try to bypass communication. And that's the only way to get from your work to the business. There's got to be somewhere in between that can translate or communicate what is going on between the two. And it's even better if it's you, because you normally, or most of the time, have built, and you need to be able to bridge the gap, period. And this one, I myself had to learn the hard way. Like I said, I came from software engineering as a background, and I thought my job was to write those SQL queries, which I was decent at already coming in, and just hand over my work and let everybody else figure it out. No, no, no. That is only half of the problem. The other half is communicating what you pulled, why you pulled it, and what we, the business, should do based on it. And I'll give you a little tip here. If you can't explain your insights simply, stakeholders won't trust you. I actually have a funny story, and I was a wee junior analyst, and the senior that was over me, or that we worked together, had gone on parental leave, and I was very quiet, so I didn't say much because I didn't have to. As a junior, I was fresh in the game, I didn't really have to speak much. I let the senior take a lot of that, and I was expected to fill in his shoes when he left. So I did some analysis, and I was asked in a meeting by a stakeholder, do you understand what's going on for this project? And I just said, yes. Now, keep in mind, this had already been something me and the senior had talked about, and it was already done. However, because my reputation and because I wasn't necessarily good at communicating my insights, the stakeholder had already assumed and didn't trust that I knew what I was talking about, or that I knew what I was doing. And nothing against them. That's all on me, right? She went straight to my manager and basically said, I don't think that he knows anything about this. And what happened? My manager came to me and he said, where are we at on this project? And I simply said, it's already done. I just didn't really disclose that to her. So what this goes to show is, when you're working with stakeholders in business, people that are making decisions in the business, it is very important to show that you can communicate and that you know what's going on. That builds trust. That builds a whole lot of other things that are going to come in handy when it comes to working with these people. You don't necessarily need to be the best speaker, but you do need to be able to clearly communicate what you've done and worked on so you can recommend things. That's what I did not do well. I let the senior take everything, and therefore my reputation or my trust with stakeholders was low. So this is a structure I started to kind of implement into my career when it came to communicating insights. It's a little short framework, all right? So this is something that you can do as well. So the first thing you want to do is ask what happened. Revenue dropped 12% this month. The next thing you're going to want to ask yourself, basically, why did this happen? order cancellation? Did a lot of people cancel their orders? The next thing is, what are you going to do next? So you know that revenue dropped last month by 12%, that there were a lot of order cancellations. So what to do next, or what should you recommend? Or what's the next thing you should look at? You might want to see which days do have the most cancellations. You want to see if there's a correlation between the two. And that's where you want to go into, right? So you don't need any type of TED Talk. You just need to be clear. So just ask yourself, when's the last time you actually communicated an insight to yourself? And was it confusing, or was it actually insightful? So to wrap everything up, if you avoid these 3 mistakes, that's going to be trying to learn everything, building a shallow portfolio, and ignoring communication skills. Most beginners are all over the place and they're trying to do a whole wide range of things. But if you focus on not making those mistakes and just following a clear path, you will separate yourself immediately. So love, peace, and chicken grease. I'm out.